Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's your host KO, and today I wanted to talk to you about my CO2 system. I've tried to upload this like probably 20 times and keeps getting stopped at 95% on my upload. I'm not sure why, but I figured I'd go ahead and do it live. That way I know that it's at least out there. That way you guys can ask me questions on it, or maybe if you're looking for a CO2 setup and you don't know what to go with. I really like this system, but let's get into it. First off, I wanted to talk about my old system. It was the Fluval 45 gram. This was the first CO2 setup that I had, and I don't really have anything bad to say about this system except for this is the little cartridge that it comes with. It lasted me about a week and a half, and also it didn't have a solenoid on it, which I'll talk about what a solenoid is here in a minute. That way you understand my frustration with this system. I mean, a couple of things did come good from it. I learned how CO2 actually worked in an aquarium and what I was looking for my system. So my new system is a paintball CO2 setup, and the paintball tank that I'm running is just a 20-ounce tank, and these can be found at Walmart. I don't know if you can buy them off Amazon. I've never really looked, but it I think at Walmart they run like $25 to $30. So that's what I'm running. And I know I'm kind of set up in between these two tanks, but it is on the 29-gallon tank. So I have the paintball tank, and then the most important piece of this is this light blue piece right here. And I'll talk a little bit more about that here in a minute. And then you have the regulator, which is the darker blue part. And that comes with the bubble counter as well. And the brand of this is Mod or MOD. I got it off Amazon for like 45 bucks. And it did come with the solenoid. So what the solenoid is good for, it actually allows you to plug it into a timer. So that way your CO2 system's coming on and shutting off at the same time every single day. It's always running the same amount of CO2 unless you adjust this little needle valve right here. Like I can turn it way up or slow it way down. And it is a dual gauge. This gauge right here shows how much CO2 is left in the tank, and 1,000 is pretty much full. And this gauge is showing how much, wow, how much CO2 pressure is actually running through the regulator. And then I have the hosing that I actually got off the flue ball setup. I have another bubble counter which basically runs as a check valve, and I got this bubble counter from that setup as well, down into my diffuser. This diffuser actually came out of my aquarium box. I have a monthly subscription. I get a box sent every month for planted tank stuff. It's just a box full of all kinds of stuff, whether it be planted tank, fresh water, salt water, whatever. But the reason that this light blue piece right here is so important, because you have this little pin at the top of your CO2 tank, and to release that CO2, that pin actually has to be pushed down. And when you just put a regulator on top of the CO2 tank, it has nothing to push that pin down, so you're not going to get any CO2 come through. So what that does, basically just pushes that pin down. When you screw it on, two pins connect and release the CO2. Then you screw the regulator on top of it, and that allows the CO2 to travel through it and through your regulator and through the rest of the system. So I have been seeing some pretty significant results in this tank. I've been running this CO2 system for a couple weeks now, and if you want to go back and watch my video, a couple videos of where I show this tank off, I mean, you can just see the crypt melt, and I mean, all these have already melted back, and they are just growing phenomenally. This Amazon sword, first Amazon sword I ever bought, and I threw it in this tank hoping to save it, and I did. I mean, I can't believe it's growing. I thought it was never going to grow. Really large Amazon sword, some water sprite, red flame sword. My Java moss is growing too. It had a bunch of melt back. I didn't think it was going to make it, but it did. But as far as the CO2 goes, I got my timer set up to where it starts about an hour before my lights come on. That way when the lights come on and the plants wake up from their photosynthesis, they have plenty of CO2 to ingest. Because, I mean, if you don't know how photosynthesis works, while the lights are on, they're taking in CO2, letting out oxygen, and at night they aren't taking in CO2, but instead they're taking in oxygen and letting out CO2, if that makes sense. But I turn it on about an hour before my lights come on, and then it shuts off about an hour before my lights go out. That way I'm not wasting any CO2. And for 2 weeks this thing is still pretty much full. Like I said, that other one only lasted me about a week and a half. Never could get it dialed in because I had to turn it on and off manually every single day, and it was just a pain. I mean, I would turn it off earlier sometimes or shut it off later, and it was just a waste. The first night I had to go to work and I forgot to shut it off, so it was running all night, even with the lights off. I need to get a timer for my air stone. I don't think it makes that big of a difference, but I just like how it gives some extra water movement. But that's about all I got for my CO2 system. If you guys have any regulators for paintball tanks you think I should try, I actually have 2 more full CO2 tanks and then 2 that are empty. I used to play paintball when I was a kid, and went out to my shed and I found 5 paintball CO2 tanks, 3 of which were still full. So that's pretty amazing, especially right when I was looking into getting a CO2 system. Other than that, I got a couple other tanks that I got going on. Things have completely changed in the fish room, and I can't wait to share those with you. But that's all I got on my CO2. If you have any questions, please let me know. Please subscribe in the bottom left and check out any other videos I have in the bottom right. Till next time, see ya.